Good morning. It's 25 August. Actually, good afternoon. I was up a little late last night and I got a really good night's sleep. I was stunned to see what time it was when I opened my eyes this morning. I suppose that's good. It's 3:28 p.m. right now, Central Time. So I had put together this little illustration last night in thinking about where we're going as a globe, as a collective. The more we learn about the stars, the more we learn about the importance of the Pleiades as a constellation. They're known as the Seven Sisters, and that's because, if you remember this, maybe you knew it already, but I learned it for good in getting ready for this video. The Pleiades are seven sisters, but when you look at an image of the dots on the map, which I'll show you right now, that'll make it easy. Here's a pretty good image of the Pleiades. Now, which seven are the seven sisters? You might know that already. I've seen the names of these planets, but in reading a little, the legends from the past are that the seven sisters are the seven dots to the right, and Atlas and Pleione are parents who had seven daughters, seven sisters, and that's them. So the analogies of the names of the planets and how they tie into Earth, I find to be interesting. Atlas, Charles Atlas, the map is an atlas. Atlas carrying the world on his back. Pleione is obviously the initial portion of the fuller name of Pleiades. And I've spoken before about Taygeta, Cosmic Agency, the YouTube channel, is tied to them, and that the beings from Taygeta communicate with Gosha and her team. Again, Cosmic Agency. And then you see Electra and Asterope and Merope, and the central son of the Pleiades is Alcyone. Now, I've come to know that Alcyone is a central sun for us as well. You start with our sun, you go to Sirius C, and you can go to Alcyone. There may be more information that I'm yet to be aware of. But if we're looking at this from Earth right now, zoomed in, technically we're spinning around the Seven Sisters. I've seen that shown before. In other words, our entire solar system is moving in a big counterclockwise direction, floating. And so from here, I'm going to talk a little bit about my chart. I'll move to a picture of this that I posted up on my computer. So here's the cover to my video, and I'll talk to it for a minute, and then I'm going to show you a really interesting portion from the ties to Alcyone in America. The men got in the loop. But first, please focus on everything from here over. The big red letters. Let's start with that. Yeshua ben Joseph is the Shemesh. He was sent to us on 9/11/3 BC to help us break out of here. He learned, he figured it out. He and his wife Maria Magdalene successfully pulled it off. He was bled dry. She nursed him back to health. And they have 2 daughters and I believe a son. Sarah's number 1, Maya's number 2 on the daughter side of the house. So let's read these letters. He gave it to the women. The Son of Man. This is a little play on words here. Start with the Son of Man. The Son, vitamin D and him. Ova, it's female, man. The Son of Man is gay. Gay meaning happy. Yeshua is going to express himself for us as divine feminine, meaning he has compassion for you. And you're supposed to be like him, having compassion for others. Peace and love is going to regulate. He's not coming here to bring justice on the evildoers and, cause death. Death is going to end on this planet. The way we're going to operate is that women will take the lead. He gave it to the women. The Pleiades is a model because the women, the Pleiades are the future, and the women all lead there already. Their system is set up so that even down at first density is elemental. So on Earth, first density is, wind, fire, protons, neutrons, and electrons, things blowing around elementally up to soil. Rocks and soil are all elemental. Once you get into cyclical life, you're up to second density. So the first density planet on Sam the Illusionist did a channeling covering the Pleiades. And one of the planets there, it's called Pleiades A, I believe, is the first density planet. And all the elementals are free to exist and coexist with no hardness, no conflict. So that level of elemental existence, as well as the cyclical existence and that above, keep going to second and third density. To an extent, they can't handle Earth because we got too much conflict going on here, and the Pleiades are more aligned properly. That's the best I can do in terms of, well, not the best, but it's to give you an idea of the nature of the Pleiades in its evolved state. We took the veil of forgetfulness and the Pleiades as a system with Alcyone in the lead, did the overarching engineering of the implementation of this when the veil of forgetfulness, using Mars, Venus, and Earth as test beds for the best way to learn and enjoy things for our Creator over 9 million years ago. And we're doing it now. It was voted upon due to boredom that we want to do this again and do it better. So here we are. Everybody attained a catalyst already on their home planet, and now you've got us down here as a collective with an opportunity for a second catalyst for us. For example, Dolores Cannon initiated her catalyst on Egregore X in the Pleiade in Andromeda. Okay, so to continue on this slide, left to right across the top. Men guard women. That's our new role. The men that are going to be left here, no matter what color they are, whether they've ever served in prison or not, everybody's made mistakes. Our history over thousands and thousands of years is conflict and men taking advantage of women. Men need women to have children. We can't do that by ourselves. Technically, women could freeze a bunch of sperm and we could be gone. We don't want to live like that. We don't want to live artificial. We want to live naturally. We want to have a man and a woman choose each other and have children. That's what they do in the Pleiades. It's not necessarily twin flame forever, but it could be. If you have a partner that you exclusively want to be with and that you both feel similarly, everyone is going to respect that. If you're a man or a woman and you want to be free and nice and loving and not jealous and be open, that's where we're going. And everybody has respect for each other, and what the other person wants is what they get. Because they'll find what they want and nobody will complain. All meetings will be in peace and love with emotions controlled. Again, men will guard everything. So if somebody gets upset, there'll be a brief discussion. We're going to telepathy and telekinesis, so we'll know when people are disturbed and try and calm them down. And once they're calm, then we have unity again. And then we'll make local rules about how we do things, and then that'll elevate up, and we'll start sharing and get up to the cultural level so that the people, 1,000 miles away or 1,500 know what you're providing and you know what they're providing, and the terrain will be different, and we'll control the weather, and the crops will be the crops, and we won't be eating meat, and animals will self-collectivize, and we'll perform animal husbandry. We learned all these things at Lake Van 490,000 years ago. But I'm not going to go that far back in history. We'll rediscover all that and take the best practices and implement them now. And we'll never lose our sense of collective awareness again, because it's not worth it unless you like this planet to the point where you like having your ass beaten in. I mean, it's still a good life here. That's what's so beautiful about it. We can take it. We volunteered to take it. But we're leaving here. I mean, I'm going to get to these pictures here about this boob, and you can see Jezebel standing here. But these two are good examples of what goes through this man's mind and the leaders that we've been voting for. This is the future right here. The governor of Arkansas. Make no mistake, the daughter of Mike Huckabee is a queen. She knows what she's doing. She was his press secretary, Donnie. And I'll speak to more of that in a minute. So, to stay up on the red letters, third density marriage is a curse. To get back to my point on marriage, the exchanging of rings provokes jealousy, distrust, and the idea of a marriage lasting is the exception rather than the rule. Of course, men and women who love each other are going to make it as models. But what about the overwhelming majority? They get up, they take the oath, they have kids, and then there's divorce. Multiple times, it proliferates. And I don't know, it seemed as though it was more acceptable and more the norm as we sort of moved through the 60s, 70s, 80s, the Brady Bunch and all the models for the corruption of the family unit. The family unit remains very important. A man and a woman who have children have an obligation, sacred obligation, so that that child can look up and know that they have two models, a mother and a father, to be like. And in that case, I don't believe any father or any mother should be like out whoring and coming home and being obvious about it. So there's going to be a need for discretion, deference, and wisdom so that everybody remains happy, because there's no reason for unhappiness unless the one who's unhappy can't control themselves, and therefore we'll have balance. So that's a summary there on the big letters in red on where we're going and the fact that the women are going to take the lead on this planet. There were Amazon women long ago in multiple cultures. They rode horses, they rode bareback, they wore masks, and they picked their own husbands and took them home, the men that they wanted to breed for their children. They really existed. And of course, then they got wiped out. Apollo killed their leader. Achilles killed their leader. And he was very sad when he did because she was beautiful. So we're going to let the women lead. But women know what they want. They can do everything. They can lead. They can be moms. They can hang around with the men running. Women can do everything they want. They're in charge. They're the two. I'm a man. I'm willing to defer to that. I never want to be a president. I never want to be the guy that everybody comes to and says, oh, what are we going to do next? If it ever came to that, I'd offer a best suggestion. But the women can do this. And then we, the men, make sure that they're okay. And we go farming and we go learning and we go and we come and our children are with us and it's going to be absolutely incredible. In co-meditation, going exploring past lives, at fourth density, fifth octave, time is a dimension. Lots of repair to do on this planet, people, and you helped cause it, so you got to help fix it. So on our new calendar, which is under development now, we're going to a 365-day year with 5 lazy days, because that's daughter number 2. 20 years, each increment. And I'll show you an example here in a second. Just stay at the upper left. 20 months of 18 weeks apiece. So therefore, the ultimate measurement is at 505 Baktun, using 3 BC as a start date, 9/11, equals 2020 Roman. There is 144,000 kin in a Baktun. So it gets added up to here, and then the increments of increase are in 20-year measurements. So for example, we just hit 505 Baktun in 2020 using 9/11 3 BC as a birthday and then sliding 3 to the right to put that birth at 0. You have to add 3 years from 2017. So you'll see the brown line that talks about that. Now let's talk about real dates, like as of yesterday. Yesterday was 24 January 2024, Roman time, Julian date, Gregorian calendar. The Mayan date, counting numbers since 9/11, it's very easy. Use 121 as your December 31 day. And then that plus whatever day it is, 121 plus 24 is 145. That's a 4 in the middle. So that's the day. It's 0 because we haven't hit a 20-year, we're in the first year of a 20-year increment. So that'll become a 1 20 years from now. And it's 505. So 20 years from now, it'll read whatever the day is, .1.505. And when that gets up to 20, for example, let's go backwards. Watch this. We've just gone backwards now. So the numbers are, I wrote them both ways. So the year 504, it obviously is before 505. That occurred on, as I mentioned, in 2020. So before 2020, it was 504. So I went back to show you. It's not, it would then be 19. It's kind of like the 31st of the month and then it becomes the 1st. Well, 19 is the increment. So it's 504 to 19. And you can actually go backwards using this. Back to the 20. And that would be the year 2000. Because it's a 20-year increment. Okay, I did my best to try and explain that. You've got to look at it and study it like I did for the eyes to open up. So you're dealing with 20 months and 18 weeks total. 20 months, 3 weeks apiece, 18 days in a month. There's 20 months, and there's a total of 3 weeks per month for 20 months. So when you multiply those two numbers, you come up with 360 plus 5, and that gets you to a 300. That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. September. That's where we're going. If you want to stay on this planet, it's a good opportunity to learn. I've got a calendar in preparation that'll be integrated on a smartphone, and the transition is going to be very easy. So that's a pretty good summary of everything that's in writing, you know, up to the 60% mark on this top piece. Now we're going to talk a little bit about substance of our planet. Give me 1 second to get organized. So just to sort of digress for 1 minute as to why this is all important with conversion to the Mayan calendar. We're in the Golden Age. I'm Knights Templar. This particular website that I discovered is called Templar Key, and it's got a number of articles in it that allude to the power of Mary Magdalene and revelations, the scene based of who they were and who the Carmelites were and who the Nazarenes are, and the key role of the Magdalene in where we're going. Yeshua and her were meant to be together. They joined forces to show us that death was a lie. Mary Magdalene was Hathor, and Yeshua was Horus. So we'll get back to our cover. You know, there's a bunch of crazy stuff to talk about here, and I don't want to miss it. And stay in some kind of a logical order. So the next thing that we could do, we'll stay on the bright side of things, which has nothing to do with any of the imagery on the bottom. There's me. As I mentioned, I'm Knights Templar, and these are my content holdings on Rumble, YouTube, which is kind of a waste, and BitChute, the green in the middle. I'm Hillbilly Mac. It's probably what you're watching right now. So, the date conversion at a high level was explained by me to you, and as we know from looking at the stars, you've got the Pleiades, but then as you come in towards Earth, look at the blue planet names here as we move to the left, where it says children and 3D marriage is a curse, and those lines connecting together. That's Taurus. It's embedded there to fit it on my little slide. To the left of the Pleiades coming to us. So those planets are important, and Taurus is a constellation like the other constellations. It's way back there. I think it's 6,200 light years away. I could be wrong, but I didn't write it down. These planets in the Pleiades run from 440 to 444. I saw a few different numbers. And you see the names of the 7 sisters there. Let's review them. Astrope, Taygeta, Seleno, Electra, Alcyone, and Maya. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where's my 7th planet? Oh. It is... Why don't I see it? It's Mayopa. Let me do this. I'll come back to it. I don't know why I don't see it there right now. On my chart. I apologize. I know I wrote it there. I thought I wrote it there. But so Merope is to the southwest of Alcyon. Again, Pleione and Atlas are the legendary parents. And the planets were given names. So this is the Pleiades as seen in Taurus. Go back to my chart. I guess it's right there, but it got obscured. Okay, so we'll continue now. Alcyon is our central sun. There's a man walking the surface now who's one of seven humans on Earth. There are more in the galaxy, but 7 biochemical humans on Earth have everything needed for us to reconstruct something with everything in it. Edgar Cayce is point of origin Alcyon. Edgar Cayce with a C. He channeled, he was the sleeping prophet. He channeled the law of one. After passing, he lived inside of Carla Rickert in a soul walk-in. She passed away, and he recently walked into David Wilcock of Gaia.com, who's had an aspiration, obviously, that's been fulfilled now because he wants to help. So David Wilcock, the same guy, has now got Edgar Cayce in his right brain helping him. David Wilcock. So watch him. He's working on new energy, and once he completes his ascension and gets rid of this moron, we'll be in good shape. So everybody's imperfect, and we're all still working through where we need to go. And it's the left side of your brain that's got the problems. Then once it's recognized, you who are still there can start fixing things, because you got a right brain that's got some old things in it that need to be relooked. Your right brain isn't perfect. Your ego is wearing some of those problems, just the way it is. So you get a chance to repair your left brain and old stuff. Same time, using templates about how to behave as a rich person, how to behave as a poor person, how to behave as the third man in, let's say, and know that every situation can be templated out and forgiven for learning. That's what we do. That's why I'm saying, if we honor these cretins and they tell the truth, we forgive them and we all rise together. Hillary's got a chance. Okay, so let's get through what these pictures are all about. First of all, there's Eddie Munster. Now, that's not Donald's son. That's not Donald's oldest boy. Yet he named him Donald, because Eric is older than him. I'm almost positive of that. From here, notice they're in prison. They're in prison gear. Those stripes. The girl next to Don Jr. is Ivanka. They became his 2 co-hosts on Trump TV, The Celebrity Apprentice, when they grew up. For some reason, it was important to pose with Hillary Rodham Clinton way back. This is, we're talking about, it's got to be the 70s. She's got that I own Walmart look about her. I mean, that's Hillary. And look at Donnie. They're posing together in a picture all the way back then. They ran against each other for president, remember? Hillary's still around. She's not in jail. Those two look like they could have been. So I use the term MAGA jailbait in describing them for this picture. I mean, take a look. What is going on here with these two young people? So she's married to Jared Kushner now, the man of prosperity, the man of the false peace, the man of smartphones who gets money from the Saudis. She's risen up, Ivanka, to be at a point where she's got to be testifying at his trial. He's on a roll, thinking he's coming back to be president again, which is funny. She's Jezebel, reincarnated. He's Julius Caesar, reincarnated. He was William Dennison. He was an orangutan in second density on Mars. He's now Enlil from Mars, because Bush was Enlil. December 2018, the coin changed. So pay attention and protect your crown. That's your seventh chakra, and that's what they're going after with COVID. Protect your crown. So this is the same character now, older. Here's another woman that he's handling, my governor, claiming that she had to take one for the team because Kim winked at her. What a load of shit. She put it in her journal, claiming that Kim would wink at her. That is absurd. What a teaser Trump is. And she doesn't have time for any of that shit, but she put it in her book. And she's Mike Huckabee's daughter and Janet Huckabee's daughter. She's Sarah Sanders. She took her husband's name. And she's our governor. And she makes very smart decisions consistently. Given the shit she's got to decide on, she does good. You know, the cops are going to leave here, and we'll have a National Guard that knows how to guard people by helping them. And people are going to want to be in the Guard because you'll eat, you'll be in shape, and you'll be a guy or a girl that's learning and helping people. I'm going to help General Scruggs. And when he gets a load of who I am, man, we're going to be doing pull-ups together. You should practice doing some pull-ups with your body weight just to see what you can do. I don't care what your age is. I don't care what your age is. Hang on a bar for 10 seconds and try and pull yourself up. Don't have to drop 3 feet after you let go. You can be on your tippy toes and do it. Just get your body working again. Feel it. And get stronger. And eat plants. Okay, so we've covered these two images of Donnie. I wanted to focus on him because it's going to translate to the Hoover Dam. That's why I'm in this darkness right now in the midst of this brief. I've got a video I've got to show you, so I'm trying to set it up in a way that makes sense. All right, so let's talk about Hoover for a minute. You got Herbert Hoover and you got J. Edgar Hoover. He was an FBI lead. He was a cross-dresser. Go to Mueller and Comey. Both FBI guys. John Kerry went to college with Mueller. Comey and Mueller are friends. It's the 7th floor of the FBI. 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 Our Federal Bureau of Investigation is a bunch of crooks. And allegedly Trump was investigated. Russia. Couldn't find nothing on him. What a big joke. It's a big stage for you to be spoofed. So that's them. And you get the Hoover Dam. I want to mention Nambla. Because Lambda is over here as a planet. And what do we have? Man-boy. Man-boy. North American Man-Boy Love Association. I'm not even going to waste any time showing you pictures, but Obama was a member. Posed with a 13-year-old white guy. Picture of Aleister Crowley. That's what they want. They want to take that innocence and abuse it and torture it. And Ivanka's married to Jared Kushner now. So that addresses the men of the Hoover Dam. but I want to talk about a good man, just to make sure his name makes it onto this video. His name is Bill Shepard. I got to know the man personally. We went out socially quite often enough, with Terry Silva, his friend. Bill Shepard is an astronaut. He's a SEAL, he's an astronaut, he's flown on the International Space Station, and he's very good friends with many Russians. He's still building ships. The man is very intelligent, very cool. When he stops drinking and starts being a SEAL again, he's going to be a tremendous leader for us, and I hope he's doing great. I'll find out. He's up in DC now. But back 10 plus years ago, when we were talking about all this madness in the future, he told me that in his take on what was going on out there, it was important to be in games. You know, because they go into these games like, you know, the Death Driver games on the online, and then they can communicate with each other and talk about stuff and change money and do the dark web thing by hooking up inside of a game. So his idea as a soft warrior astronaut was that we needed to become avatars and get cover inside a game so that we could, you know, do things and be a part of the mix. And I thought it was interesting. And we know that a true, authentic avatar is not in a game. So he was using avatar in the gaming term. Do you like games? Do you like programming? Beware, because if you have an aspiration as a programmer and that's all you want to do every day, you're going to get what you want when you die. Adult as a dark web. You want to go to Hollywood, you're going to get it. You want to be a programmer, you're going to get it. You need to be aware, step back, be yourself. Don't fear anything. It doesn't mean don't touch a computer program again. It means know that you have a responsibility to our collective, and only do it for a little time, and then get out in the real world so that you're not absorbed by the program and finding yourself, oh, I got to go to bed. I've been doing this all day. That's what guys do. Whether you're a user, gamer, or you're the programmer putting it together, both matter. So that's a pretty good summary of what's going on down here. And the Hoover Dam, the Temple of Alcyon, occult worship in plain sight. It was a learning thing for me. The ties to the name Hoover I found to be coincidental, but it's the man. So let's go ahead and jump right over and watch this Hoover video. This is on BitSheet, and I'm just going to start playing it. This was 31. I'm going to pull a plug here.
Men called high scalers blasted loose any weak rock that might later fall
Hoover Dam.
below. 4 tunnels, each 56 feet in diameter, were drilled through the canyon walls. The men worked from the platforms of a drilling jumbo so that up to 30 of them could drill at once. Next, a temporary earthen dam was built across the canyon, and the river was diverted through the tunnels. The site was then dug down to bare rock. Cement was poured into forms to create giant interlocking cubes. The completed structure contains over 3.25 million cubic yards of concrete.
Oh, the Rothschilds are happy.
Finally, the diversion tunnels were plugged, and the water began to build up, forming Lake Mead. 10 miles wide and 115 miles
Lake
long.
Mead. So they formed a lake.
Dam, dedicated by
Man has interfered with the Colorado River.
1935, provides flood control and generates over 6 billion kilowatt hours of electrical energy each year.
So it's an electric generator. They're generating power. The Hoover Dam.
Shall we play a game?
You know, the Rothschilds have a patent for blood to make concrete. Hoover Dam's a Stargate? Well,
I just
it's
wanted to
no
make a quick
Maui.
video, because I feel this information is very important. I just wanted to get it out there. I am going to do a deeper, more extensive study
Sorry.
and expose on it. There's a couple things I want to bring to light is something that my friend Timmy found, which I believe is very important. I believe he has found something that is fitting with the keystone. And if you're not familiar with the keystone essentially is part of the doorway or the gateway that unlocks the gateway. You know, we see the archways that have been built and they're being put up all over Temple of Baal. Timmy's doing a lot of research on that.
Baal.
He's got a very excellent video coming
You're back
up
into
soon.
Taurus
I'll be posting a link to
and
his
Yucatan
channel,
and throwing children,
something
family
that is
children.
just unbelievable that came to mind.
So
and
Obama
popped
visits in
my mind
2012,
after I was
Benghazi
watching
2012, that's
Pixels.
Columbus.
In the movie, one of the
I guess he did
characters
set
just
foot in
screams out,
America.
Totally random. Just like how they're hiding the secret of the pyramid under the Hoover Dam.
I have no idea what's under the Hoover Dam, but obviously they've made movies about it. This is worth investigating. I mean, we know everything, so we'll come
And
to
I just
find
thought
out.
how so many of us, including myself, have been focusing
Well, it's
so
a
much on
man-made
CERN.
work of art right there.
And what if CERN has just basically been gathering an energy source like dark matter or whatnot to open a Stargate? And what if that Stargate is actually the Hoover Dam?
So they're making
And once I started researching
acquisitions
this, I
to
found some interesting
Giza?
articles. There's not a heck of a lot of them,
Acquisitions.
but these
I don't
articles
even know
are
if
all
that's a
talking
word.
about how the Hoover Dam was built like a Stargate. And Jonathan Glack has made a lot of videos showing the Hoover Dam bursting something forth that's been found in the U.S. currency. So
I'll
believe
attach this
that
video.
A lot of people's different research in that this is all connected and
It's on
culminating
BitChute.
together.
The Tillman
And if we
Memorial.
look at this article,
No,
this article that I'm
it
showing you
can't be
right
that.
now, I will also post a link to that in
They
the
murdered
description
Pat
below, so
Tillman.
you can
Five
look at it
Eyes
yourself.
did.
I think this needs to be
Or the
looked
Rangers
into,
can't fight in
on a
static
much deeper
defense at
scale,
night
and I'm going to be
with
doing it. Timmy's
NVGs.
been
They
doing
blew
it.
his head off, and then they covered it up.
I just think that there's something going
His family
on
didn't know
with
what
Hoover
really
Dam,
happened
and what is going to be birthed forth,
because they were
stuff
too
that's actually
cowardly
gonna
to
come
say,
out
we
of
did
that
it
area. What
with
if
friendly fire.
this also is
Fratricide,
a large
sorry.
part of a smaller part?
You know,
What
there's
if
real fratricide when guys freak out. This was a deliberate hit, Pat Tillman.
we don't know what's been constructed
You can bet your
inside of
life
them.
on that.
I do
Sure, the
have
guys in
video
his
that I
units
can see
loved having him in the
where a
unit.
person
It
had
must have
mentioned that
decimated
all
them when he
the
got
workers
hit.
were
Never
built by
mind
robots,
us.
all built by machines.
Remember learning that Pat Tillman was
And
killed?
who's to say
I mean, what the
weird
fuck?
things are going
He's a
on in the
ranger.
age of technology and what
You
have
think, oh, he was out on patrol as a lead man and they got him with a sniper. Fuck no, they were in defense. Like dug in.
of the underworld to come forth through, or the fallen angels, dark ones, whatever you want to call
Five
them,
Eyes.
whatever's coming through them isn't going to
Five
be good,
Eyes.
but there's a lot of the stuff that's coming
Is
together.
the British
and
Intel
I just
Service,
believe
MI5,
really paying attention.
the Central Intelligence Agency and NSA, which are really a two-for shot. One does SIGINT, one does HUMINT, but it counts for two of them. And when you do Brits, you have to kind of roll in the Aussies as mates. 'Cause they've got an intel service, but it's not named out.
This is how
And then you've
Palmyra
got the
looked as
Mossad.
ISIL took control the Triumphal Arch before the group
And
destroyed
it
it.
counts up to 5.
Today, the 2,000-year-old arch from the Temple of Bel looks like this.
The Temple of Baal.
A group of
As
Italian
related to the
architects are
Hoover
reconstructing
Dam.
the arch using 3D robotic printers
Again,
to
just
bring
go
the
to
historic
Yucatan and
ruins
know what
back
we
to
did,
life.
like in the age of Aries and the age of
We
Taurus.
sometimes
We were here.
think
Go
about
back.
if we were in the positions
8,000,
of the
12,000,
Syrian
you know.
people,
The
and,
ages
we
are
would like to have
2,000-year
this,
cycles.
our,
We just left
monuments
Pisces.
as
Aries was
Italians.
before that.
Also,
Taurus
very
was
important
before
for us,
that.
this kind of monuments and the
And I'm
relation
telling
that
you that
have with our
we,
place.
the children of the light, have had our
When the
asses
reconstruction is
bashed
finished
in.
later this month,
And
it'll
you
go
had
on
to play.
display
You
in
had to
London's
decide whether
Trafalgar
you were
Square,
throwing the baby
then
in or
New
you were
York's
being
Times
thrown
Square,
in. You had to
before
do
being
it.
taken to its final destination, the ancient city of Palmyra.
So remember Alcyon now.
So
And
the
just
curious
know that
topic
they've
of the Hoover
managed,
Dam
you
is
know,
one that I've
the
been wanting to
Atlas
come back and examine
side
from
of things
a
has
enclosed
decided to talk
cosmological
about your
perspective
world.
for a while now.
And look at these
One more
structural
example of
wonders.
something
There's a
that's
bridge. I didn't even know the
floating
fucking
around
bridge
out
was
there
there
in the
like that. I haven't
conspiracy
been
scene
there.
that again, it seems to make a lot more sense if considered from a perspective where the stars aren't something that exists millions of light years away in outer space, but instead involve the spiritual realms, which
You know, the
somehow
Indians
envelop
were
the
here
ceiling above
first.
our heads in this enclosed world.
Just to say it. And the Spanish and the whites from England, respectively, took
I'd
over.
actually never heard about any of the odd
Portuguese and
edifices
Spanish
to be found at the
to
Hoover
the
Dam
south,
until
Orange to the
I
north.
actually happened to visit
But
there
St.
myself
Brendan had
about
gone
a few
out in
years ago.
501 to
And as
discover
soon
the
as I got out of the
world.
car and saw the two
The
giant
song by
angel
Christy
statues
Moore.
and the star map and zodiac made out of stonework on the ground, I instantly knew it was something I was going to have to go home and look into some more. And of course, when I did, there was a lot of others who had noticed these same out-of-place monuments and symbolism. And in the past few years since, a number of other people have made videos and written articles about the many strange aspects of Hoover Dam.
Goodbye
such
to
as
the pork and
elements of
brandy,
Freemasonic
to the
symbolism,
vodka and the stout,
the idea of there being
to the
some sort of
smithy
false flag
and the
attack
heartbeat,
planned,
the bottle of
how
giraffe
the
and cake.
destruction of the dam appears to be portrayed on one of the U.S.
As I
bills.
sat looking up at the Guinness
Things like
side,
the fact
I
that the
could
shape of the dam is
never
almost
figure
identical
out
to the throne that
how
Madonna
the
sat on
man
in her
stayed up
infamous
on the
Illuminati Super
surfboard
Bowl
after 14
performance,
pints of stout.
or the rather
That
curious light show that was done on the
is
front
the
of the dam
voyage of
using
St.
the German
Brendan.
soccer team logo, which oddly enough featured a goat and twin towers.
Ooh, how about that? Here's a little Saturn. Hexagon? Maybe. I didn't
And of
count
course, another thing that has surrounded all the conspiratorial Hoover Dam speculation is the idea
it. You look
that
at
somehow
Trump's
being
palace there,
Stargate.
his home.
And this, of course, ties heavily
Not
into
Mar-a-Lago,
the
up
star
off
map
Central Park. He's got that
which
all
shows Alcyone of the constellation
Saturnized out
Pleiades.
with his numbers.
But it's the Stargate idea that has actually
there's
really
Alcyone.
intrigued me here. And the whole topic of Stargates in general is something that is honestly
Truth is
very
stranger than
intriguing
fiction.
to consider from the biblical flat earth
This is the
cosmology
central
perspective.
sun that they are dedicating to on the dark side. Because we were there, so honor
Kip
it
from
all.
the D13 Watchmen channel recently
Light
put
in
out
the
a video
dark.
on the Hoover Dam Stargate
Dark on the
topic,
bottom.
and there he mentions how
That's
in the movie
proper
Pixels,
balance.
there's a somewhat random
Then you
line
can
from
look
someone
down at it
mentioning,
vibrationally.
quote, pyramid hidden
They
under
can't
the
get
Hoover
up to
Dam.
you because they like the dark.
And then, of course, there's the movie Transformers showing the Allspark being hidden in a secret facility under the dam.
So all the movies are there to
we can see
reflect
that
it.
allusions to something top secret going on there has even made it into the mainstream Hollywood zeitgeist at this point.
I mean, how hard is that? Look at what they've been doing. It's Hollywood. It's hypnotism.
Okay, here's my 2 cents on it for what it's worth. I certainly find all those avenues
Yeah,
I just
everybody's
mentioned very
used.
interesting, and I'm not trying to discount anything at this point since it's honestly all just conjecture anyhow.
Okay, Hoover Dam, Colorado River.
But for me, I honestly don't lean towards the idea that there might be some sort of massive device buried in the bowels of the superstructure, or some strange alien-like technology embedded in the construction.
We'll
of the
come
dam
to find
itself,
out.
Whatever.
I mean,
Could there be some sort
when
of planned
Indigo
catastrophic
Angel and her
destruction of the
team
dam that
starts
would
to
plunge
remote
the
view
entire
things, and
American Southwest
Lily
into
Nova,
emergency mode, well,
and
that wouldn't shock me at
Aurora,
all if it happened. When you
Quesada,
just look at the levels of Lake
Quesada.
Mead, which is the water behind Hoover Dam,
that beautiful
over the
woman.
past few years, it's already somewhat catastrophic just in
She
that
knows
capacity,
Lucifer.
but that's kind of a whole other topic.
Lucifer is a 5th density creature all the way up to 5'8", so
But
you
okay,
can meditate with
a
Lucifer.
Stargate. What does that even really mean? Especially if
Just
we're not
beware.
talking about the sort of, ancient aliens type technological device from the Stargate movie and TV series, or any of the other countless sci-fi depictions of
There's
interdimensional portal
additional
machines.
planets there, so if you want to go back and freeze it, you can take a
We're
look.
talking about Stargates here in the context of witchcraft and the occult. And honestly, it's
See, in
kind of
that case,
interesting
they
to me
named
that in
Maya,
none of the other videos or
M-A-J-A.
posts I've read on the occult New World Order connections to Hoover Dam, I've yet to see any of them that have explored the occult connections to the specific star featured on the Hoover Dam star map.
Well,
First
it's
of
our
all, it's
central
interesting
sun.
to note that
David
there actually
Gase
is an
is from there.
Alcyone Lodge
Edgar Gase.
somewhere in New York State. So
Look,
clearly
there's a lodge.
Freemasonic
You got
connection
Benny.
to the star Alcyone.
Cyrus is Truman.
But even more interesting is the prominent place held in the history of theosophy by the name Alcyone.
Okay, now we're into
So, long before guys like Benjamin Krem were around, pronouncing the near arrival of the great Maitreya,
Helena
or
Blavatsky,
becoming one world leader,
Count Saint Germain,
Antichrist, the Theosophical Society
the
was
Nazi
fervently working to
symbol,
bring
you
the
see it?
Maitreya
That's
onto the
not
world
necessarily
scene many
Hitler.
decades before that. And two very prominent theosophists and occultists,
Star of
the president
David.
of Theosophy at the time, Annie Besant, and this other guy, Ledbetter, were somehow led by their spirit guides to select this kid, basically, a 14-year-old Brahmin from India named Jiddu Krishnamurti,
Brahmin.
as the next Maitreya or
Abraham.
Messiah of the New Age.
Abram. Brahmic.
And this guy, Krishnamurti, went by the name of, you guessed it, Alcyone. And he wrote a book called At the Feet of the Master, which he openly claimed were not his own words, but the words of the master who taught him. Any guesses as to who that master actually is?
Huh.
So this Krishnamurti fellow, he was able to channel demonic spirits, and bearing the name of the star Alcyone, he traveled around for many years, being heralded as basically the chosen one of Theosophy, speaking at various conventions and events around the
Theosophy.
world, until
Theo.
eventually he became disillusioned by all the politics and
Sophia.
infighting within Theosophy and its many branches.
Sophia's divine
And
wisdom,
really, from
and
what I can
Theo
gather,
is
eventually
God.
he came face to face with the reality that he was not the savior of the world. And in 1929, he publicly announced his official separation from the Theosophical Society, and began preaching a more generic New Age message that had no prophesied coming New Age messianic figures. And then yet, 2 years later, construction of the Hoover Dam begins in 1931, to be completed and opened by 1936. So it is
And
rather
then the
curious timing.
Concordance began in 38 with Aldebaran and
Now,
the
when examining
Draco.
the monument erected to supposedly
The Draco
commemorate
are a part
the
of
men
all
who died
this.
in the construction of Hoover Dam,
They run
many
the
people have spent a lot
reptiles.
of time trying to tease out
The
esoteric
Draconians
meaning
from
the
Rigel
rather
and
Egyptian-looking
Beetlejuice.
figure there, and
Way up there.
what perhaps is being represented by the water and
They
the sun
cut out
and everything
organs
else.
for
And
the
it's real easy to get lost in the minutiae
organ
of all
donation
that, but
program in the
for me,
Ukraine.
one of the things that
Mountain
really
infantry,
strikes me
their
is
own
just
people
the
cut them
simple,
up.
rather hidden in plain sight type of message from the whole basic theme
They
of
petri
sacrifice
dish up
itself
bodies
in the
with help
inscription.
from other planets because we all learned Lucifer hijacked
Now,
Nibiru.
I'm not saying that no one actually
Crossbred
died in the
everything.
construction of the dam.
We're here now.
I would actually have a hard time
They
being
established
convinced
a
by anyone
flying
that you could
saucer
even build
system in
something the size of Hoover
38
Dam in the
peeps.
30s and not lose lives. But when you step back and just look at everything that was
This
chosen
is
to be
man at
incorporated
work
into a memorial
in the modern
supposedly
era,
for a
doing
bunch
it
of construction
again,
workers, then
like we've always
it's really just
done.
bizarre.
Put animal creatures on
If we go
humans
back
and
and
you're
take some cues
there.
from the many other ancient examples
Smart
of monolithic sites
dinosaurs.
built by various pagan civilizations, whether it be
Tyrannos
the
Rex.
pyramids
Look,
on the
go to
Yucatan
Ur.
Peninsula, or the Egyptian pyramids, or the mound builders of the Mississippi Valley culture, or Stonehenge.
A
so many
pyramid
other
is
examples.
different than a
We can start to
temple
realize that
to
indeed
Ur
the ritual of
and
human
Baal
sacrifice was more often than not a very integral
Thoth.
component of how these structures were instilled with
Thoth
demonic
is a mimic.
spiritual energy in order
Gets
to create
into
a more
everything
intense connection between
he
the human
can.
realm and the spirit realm.
There you go. Kill it.
Now, at this point,
Yeah.
I feel like I just need to stop.
Everybody
and
cheer.
emphatically
Okay, it was
recommend
somebody's
all
kid.
the material you can find on a man named Tim Bentz.
Hold it up.
I'll put links in the description below, but really this
The
information
beating
comes
heart,
through
for
the
God's
vehicle
sakes.
of
What is it?
interviews that I've done with him.
Lots of people happy.
I first heard him in an interview done by Peter Goodgame,
I
which
mean,
was titled
this is
Canaanite
before we
Altars
were
in
even
the Federal
entitled to be
Reserve,
slaves.
Which just absolutely blew my mind. Rob Skiba has also interviewed
The
Tim
Indians
Bentz, and
used to
so,
take
yeah,
the
if you haven't heard
Spanish
any of
back
his
home with
material
them.
yet, then
After they
just wow, be prepared to
After
be
they
blown
won,
away.
they wouldn't kill him on the battlefield. They'd bring
He
him
talks
home.
about altars in the Middle East and elsewhere
And
around the
kill
world,
him in
which are typically
ceremonies.
made of massive blocks of stone that have been used for
That's
ritualistic
your
human
Aztec at
sacrifice,
work.
and how this essentially creates
The
a
Sioux
demonic
wiped out
stronghold in
Custer
their
when the
region,
time
sort of like a
came.
spiritual anchor point for the demonic realm that uses
But the Indians
monolith
didn't
itself
have the
as
metal,
kind of
and they
almost like a
weren't
spiritual
white.
battery.
They didn't have the
So Tim
nukes.
Bentz has traveled extensively,
Oppenheimer
led by God, to
did.
find these altars and
Vannevar
destroy
Bush
them,
got it.
and release
Aldebaran
these areas
is
from demonic
Aryan.
spiritual oppression. And
the white man,
he
the
tells the most
Swiss.
incredible story about
Everyone
being
was
led by God
everything.
to
So if you're
Jekyll
black
Island,
now, you
where the
used to
Federal
be
Reserve
white.
was
Wrap
created,
your head around it.
and learning about the history of the island and how it essentially had a Nephilim tribe living there.
Nephilim
which had a stone
tribe. There's
altar
positive
upon which
Nephilim.
humans
That
were
was the
sacrificed.
jellyfish. Jekyll
And this
Island, that's where the
altar
Rothschilds
was or
stood
is
up the
underneath
Fed,
the very house where the Morgans
1913.
and Rockefellers and
Rockefellers
representatives thereof
illuminated.
conspired to create the Federal Reserve.
Illuminated. RH negative dark.
So
They're all
definitely just go check
related
that out, because
bastards
it's probably one of the
from
most intense
Nibiru.
interviews you'll ever listen to.
One big social. That's the Anunnaki.
But anyhow,
And then you've got the
this
Draco
is the context
running them.
and
The
concept
Draco
through
got it.
which I believe that the Hoover Dam,
Anunnaki
and all the
parallel
weird
with
occult
them.
imagery and references to stars and angels and weird looking
And the
signs
reptiles.
and the floors and everything else
And the
makes
Greys.
the most
The
sense to be
bubbleheads.
interpreted through.
The Greys are stuck.
Not
They're
in the sense
petri
that it's
dish.
some secret
They're
doomsday
Area
machine or
51
interdimensional
staring at
portal
you.
device, although it is a machine.
From
It's a
Zeta
functioning
Reticuli.
hydroelectric dam.
There's a Zeta in Taurus. But the Zeta
At the same
Reticuli were
I
human
think
form factors that figured out how to
it's an
petri
altar.
dish, and then a soul took it.
A massive
And then more than one did.
monolith
And then they became
dedicated
that,
to the star god
and they
Alcyon,
then were able to self-engineer their own perpetuation.
a bona fide occult
But they're not
temple
having sex
structure
with a woman.
built in the era of things like the Theosophical Society,
move.
Lucius Trust,
I want to talk
and
about
so many other
taking a
satanic
vow
New
of
World Order
ordination.
tentacles that
Woo!
were strengthening their grip in America and all around the world at that time.
I guess
And
Greys don't,
hidden
they
in
don't have
plain
sex
sight.
because
I mean,
they
it's crawling with oblivious
too busy
tourists,
thinking about stuff.
just like so many other sites which are built and dedicated as memorials.
If you
even
look at
while
a
they
Grey's
are, in
body,
fact,
I don't see no
total
appendage
Illuminati
hanging off.
monuments
Just
to
a
the
big
ritual
head
human
with black
sacrifice
eyes, and
that
we're
was
supposed to
performed
help
in
them.
that place.
They're coming here. Guys, this is not a horror show. This is all truth.
Just like Ground Zero in New York City.
Well, here we go. This has got a lot of substance in it. And for the sake of time, we've covered a lot here. Hoover Dam, the next 9/11. I mean, who knows? If they could end up blowing that damn thing up when they... I'm going Three Gorges. Folks, let's close out with this. So we know we've got the breaking of the Hoover Dam, right? That's the Hoover Dam. He was a president. In addition, you have the Three Gorges Dam in China. There was a space weatherman that knew how all the Rothschilds' equipment worked. His name was Mike Morales. I think he may have passed away because he hasn't posted in months. He had severe cancer. He was a telescope guy, and he called out those Pacific Gas and Electric pieces of equipment to show us what the fuck they were doing. Tankers off the west coast just blowing smoke and fog. And he'd always hint about the Three Gorges Dam. He had a very deep voice, because he smoked. And first of all, Three Gorges is the main production center for Bitcoin. And I think the value of Bitcoin would probably go up. It should go up from that. Because there's a finite number of Bitcoin. It's like Manhattan Island. But I'm just saying the Chinese use the power of Three Gorges for energy to do that, since it's been constructed. And now you've got the Mossad and their ability to engineer demo. They did it in Miami, they did it in Al Jazeera, they did it in 9/11, placing explosives to detonate them to destroy. And that would wipe out a massive amount of China, and Trump blames China, and Trump knows the Mossad, and the Mossad does demo, Five Eyes. So all hell could be breaking loose here between the Hoover Dam and Three Gorges Dam. The dark side's buying mini subs. The dark side that's in the Eclipse group. They're going to be digging in bunkers to protect themselves. They're coming out of domes, which we know about, and we are going to inherit the earth in 2, 1, 1, 1. If this is true, it was Mark 11. The birthing of the New World Order. Torrential flooding, the birthing, right? I mean, come on. It's Trump and Biden's Genghis Khan. If Biden, Biden is soul swapped into Genghis Khan, so I don't even need to play this. I'm telling you where we're at. The Golden Age began. We're in the Golden Age, guys. The Golden Age began in July of 2021. If you don't want to believe that, go die. High self-awareness in August of 2021. You have a high self. We have 7 chakra in body. There's a total of 12. The gateway is 13. Yeshua's up there at the top. And we're going to intelligent infinity. He loves you. He was the best. Maria Magdalene knew it. And he knew about her. So you've got a counterpart out there that's important to you. And you can have more than one. Just love everyone. And use discretion. Use discernment. And be Christed. And forgive yourself when you make mistakes. And don't make them again. Because they don't feel good. Love and light. Peace. Out.